everyone, welcome back. UnkleDestiny here with you. As you can hear from my voice, I'm a little hoarse. It's that wonderful time of year when allergies here in California are running rampant. So, I got a bit of a horse in my throat at the moment. But otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get the reading in here for the month of May as we come to more or less the last major portion of the spring. Now in June, we have midsummer, or we have the summer solstice, which will then signify the switch from spring into summer. And at that time, we'll be looking at that energy of change then. So right now, it's the last strong point of spring. And what new things are being grown and started and in this time of the year. So let's see what the ancestors have to say. Alright, anything that fell off the reading surface is not part of the read. So, what we've got here. Okay, so the bone, starting with our big primary ones, we have home, family, and work. Now in this case, and I think I mentioned this in last month's reading, that the family and work bone are overlapping each other. They're deeply connected. And on either side of that, we've got the quartz as well as the copper piece. Now, why this is kind of insignificant is that it really is going to be dealing with the heart, both not just spiritually, but mentally, emotionally, remembrance of what goes on between both your work and your family. I almost would want to say that there's going to be a strong point where your work and your family life are going to not only intersect, it's going to be at the heart of the matter. It's going to be at the heart of the health of your relationships, let alone the heart of your work as well. Now, the interesting thing when I look at this overall structure, which I know we're going to get to this home bone over here in a minute. When I look at this overall structure, I see the continent of Africa. And where these two bones, the family and work bones, are crossing each other is right at that center of Africa. The area just below the Sierra, just at the sort of the midpoint of where a lot of the jungle area would be, before we get into the savannas. And why I feel compelled to aspect is that there is a point here where, and even for those of you who are not of immediate African ancestry, there is a strong sense here where what I'm saying is that the ancestors, that this ancient home where all humanity started from, is calling. And that work between family and work itself, both in memory and in power, is very important right now. I'd almost say that there's going to be some sort of major event that may happen near or in Africa that is going to change some of the aspects of what we understand about memory, about history. I'm going to say this in a positive sense. Somebody's always going to say history happens in a negative sense, but in a positive sense, but also in a sense of power. Some sort of revelation that may help change some of the views of what it means to be human. I know that's a tall order, and I know that's a big if, but sometimes that's big in the way. Big in the way is not always about what's going to be heard around the world. It's going to be big in what happens in your home and your family. So there may be some sort of connection that you have there, some history that you didn't even know you did. But the principles of what it means to have your family and your work interconnect are going to be strongly centered around the spirit of Africa, of the meaning of what it means to be part of a community. I know very much in Western culture, it's all about the individual. And it's sort of poo-pooed the idea and the aspect of giving oneself up to one's community. But one of the things that I found so far in some of the discussions about and experiences of looking at community is that community does support the individual, because the community needs the individual for all its unique gifts. The problem is that that gets lost when we look at how and what is required to act not just in the benefit of the individual, but also in the benefit of the community. So there's a memory there, is that how did my work help benefit the community, but how did the community also support me? Were they able to feed me when during the point where I was struggling to get, where they were feeding me during the point where I was struggling to get this project done that would ensure the community's safety? Did I work hard enough on this project to ensure the community's health so that they'll be able to support me later when it's time to build my house? So the back and forth of the aspect of this relationship between community and individual, home and work, it's a constant cycle going back and forth, back and forth. And it's at the heart of all of this. Now, the home bone is over here off to the side, and we've got a large number of the support bones, of the spinal support bones in it. And that says to me that home is not going to be the biggest, or for our physical home, it's not going to be our biggest focus at the particular time. But there are going to be some major things that are going on there. It may mean new refrigerator, may mean you need to repaint something, may mean you're going to need to be planning to put a new addition on because you're going to have an in-law coming to live with you because if they've gotten older. And that again brings us back to the communal aspect. The aspect that even though in today's Western world it's very easy to push people off into, say, care homes and so forth, the idea in a traditional community is that the entire community cares for that person that has gotten older and is no longer able to care just for themselves. Now, that does help to have an extended, larger family, as opposed to the smaller nuclear family that has become so much a part of Western culture. So there becomes a question of has keeping things so small as an effective community, as effective economy, always benefited us. So it's things you have to look at in that concept of work and family, as well as home, by its extension. Now, the other bones, especially these down here, which would make up the Savannah and South Africa, I see we have this bone here, which, as I've said before, reminds me of the pelvic bone, but it's also the one that's at the top of it. Shows that there is something that's going to be started, both intellectually, but as well as emotionally, birthed, that's in this sort of very sparse, very dry, very open area. So it's something you're going to be able to see develop. You're going to be able to see it form. It's not going to be hidden in the depths, which is what we see much more here with the family and work bone. Now, one that would make South Africa. This one is definitely saying that there is going to be some new friendships coming in. These new friendships are part of what's going to help build this new thing that's coming up in the Savannah. And by its nature also eventually be able to support the home and work, or sorry, the family and work. And this is in the nature of expanding your community. So new faces will be coming in, and new energies that will be able to be combined into what it means for you to have your community. And this is not just your community of blood, but also of spirit and of choice. Because we always build families, we have the families we were born into, but we also have the families that we build around us. So, that's about it for what the ancestors have to say. Tune in next month and we'll have the reading for the month of June. This is Uncle Destiny on behalf of the ancestors and spirits, wishing you well and Ashe.